Alrighty, y'all. It's May 1st-ish, and it's nice and sunny out there. 76 degrees today. Pretty unusual for the Northwest, but we'll take it. I had to work today, so I had my excuse not to work on this fire hazard. But tomorrow I have the day off. No other work going on, and it's supposed to be nice out. Not as nice today, but 65-ish, so warm enough to not have to turn on the heater or worry about it for the whole day. So we're going to take this off and swap this in here. And it shouldn't have been, usually it wouldn't be such a long process, but the gap between the breaker and the base is a lot longer than here. And I'm not going to run new wire all the way from the front panel. That'd be a lot of money. So what I'm going to do is just cut down this little mark right here. So I'll take the power off, cut the power, pull this off, and gently cut around there. I'm going to try to cut that without nicking the wires, because if I do nick the wires, then obviously I'll have to run some new ones in there. But I just need to get them longer so that it will reach this breaker 10-4. But yeah, so we'll work on that, and we'll break out the new tester that Tesman sent me, the 300D multimeter. And I was supposed to review it a long time ago, but I think it's complicated. So I had to do some research on it just to figure out how to use it, which is good since I'm going to be doing this. And so we'll do some testing with it to see what readings we have now, what readings we have at the front of the house, and what we have after, and all that good stuff. So should be fun. All right, let's get to it. All right, before I start tearing out the panel in the back, we'll come out to the front here where the main power panel is. And I got this all opened up. We got the meter reader head. Power comes in from the street through this conduit, goes in here, comes up above, goes over here to this 200 amp breaker, feeds down here, and that goes into my house to the 200 amp panel in my back bedroom, which makes that a sub panel. And yeah, these have seen better days. So since it's an outdoor unit here, we'll clean this up. Once we'll test this with my new reader and see what kind of voltage we have at the source, which should be 240-ish for both and 125-ish for each individual. And so we'll get that turned off and make sure it's dead with the reader so I don't end up that way. Then we'll clean this up. I might reseat all these connections, take them off, clean them up, use anti-corrosion gels, put them back together, and then go work on the panel in the back. When it's all done, we'll come power this back up. I'd like to possibly get some breakers for out here, at least one or so, because we have some punch outs here. And I'd like to put like a 30 or 50 amp receptacle out here, RV plug, so that when I get a shed or sheds in the future, I can wire them up and just have a plug on them so that it's temporary electrical power, so I don't have to worry about permitting for that. And for now, we'll get to work on this. And as with everything else, don't do what I'm doing. This is for entertainment and scrutinizing purposes only, because I am no professional, so don't do what I'm doing. But you follow some basic rules, and you should be all right. And I got an electrician friend from high school that he's going to come out after I get everything done and make sure I did everything proper and certify it, and we'll be good from there. Yeah, so we'll get some measurements here, and then we'll get to work. All right, before I activate the service disconnect, the big breaker up above, I'm going to test to see what kind of voltage we're pulling here on this panel as it sits with the old panel, and then we'll test it with the new panel. So I got this unit turned on, and when you first turn it on, it goes to auto setting, which it will detect what you're looking for is for either amps, volts, ohms, continuity, I believe is that one. So what we'll do here is touch the connectors to each positive on here, and it's trying to figure out what it needs to look for. And it goes to voltage, and we're putting 246, so 240 panel reading, that's good. And then we'll go with just one, and then go over to the neutral, and it should be half of that. Yeah, 123, so that's good. We'll go to the next one, and this one too is 123, so that looks all good. So we'll disconnect this, and this thing's pretty cool. All right, just for S and G's, I want to test this fire hazard here just to see what the voltage is coming in. Should be the same as what was going out, but we'll put a lead on both the incoming ones. It should be 246, yeah, so that's good. And then we'll do individuals. Let's see, we have the neutral over here, so 123, and we'll go over one. Should be as well. Alright, so it's the same coming in. So now we'll shut off the power out front, make sure it's off, come back here, make sure it's off, and start getting rid of this cobweb. Alright. Alright, so we're almost at the point of no return here. We're going to turn off the service disconnect. Boom. So hopefully we'll go with, since let's see here, we'll go with voltage here, and we're getting like nothing, which is good. Here, so good, and we'll go up. Oh, there we go. So we got the 240 coming in to the top of the breaker here. Must have been hitting some plastic here. Got shields on the things here. Yeah, 245 coming in, stopping here because this is off, and then we get nothing, which is what we want, so we know nothing's coming through and I'm not going to get shocked to death. Alright, we turned it off outside, so now we'll go see what's going on here. And the same. Just not much of anything, which is what we want. Let's take these caps off. So we know we have some good contact. And that's good. So that multimeter worked to show that there was nothing here, but Tesman also sent me this AC voltage detector, and I've used this for a while and it works pretty well. I just went out front, tested, and it went off on top of the breaker and not below, so we'll just make sure with this one as well. Not getting any readings here, so that is good. So I think I'm gonna live for now. And just like that, we got the old panel out of here. That janky old thing. So now we're really into it now. So I'm gonna probably put a little piece of wood right here so I can put all these wires up and over out of the way so I can work on this conduit and then figure out where there's cross bracing in the wall here so I can mount the new panel there. All right, the scariest part that I had to do here was cut this off to make room for the wires to get in the new power panel. So I slowly cut around here with a saw, making sure I didn't nick the wires. So that was pretty stressful, but I went around here, I felt it all. I didn't feel any parts where I nicked it, so that's a good sign. And we'll put a new cap on here and slip the new Leviton Load Center on there. So I thought I put some cross bracing in here, so we'll run this stud finder down here to see if it finds anything. And it looks like there's one here, which makes sense. I had the other one anchored there. Thought I had more than one. Guess not. That's disheartening. But there's a 2x4 here, so I guess we'll just anchor into that on the corner. Alright, we got the base of the load center here, and we're going to have to put the conduit through the base. So we're going to have to knock out a section here, and I think we're going to knock it out right here if this is possible size. I believe. So we'll see how this works. Okay, that worked, so that's good. Excited to see that happen. And maybe while I'm here I'll punch out a bunch of bottom and top ones for the small ones. All right, so there it is. Got it all anchored to the wall. Got it all leveled up. I don't know about you, but if it's possible that a power panel can be sexy, this is the one that makes the case for that. I don't know. It's just a good looking box. But anyway, I think I did cut the wires up or lowered it to a good spot. We got the 2 phases here for the 240 connections going to either side of the breaker here. We got our neutral that goes right here. Got our ground that goes right here. This one I'll probably cut, and this one I'll definitely cut, and with new connections, but these I'll probably just bend them a little bit since they're close enough. And it's nice to feel that the antioxidant compound is still in there, but we'll clean those up, put some new compound on there. And we have, since this is a sub panel, this little thing here bridges the ground to the neutral, and that is supposed to go on to jump it if this is the service panel, the very first one off the power meter, but this is the sub panel, it's the second in line, so don't put that on. But yeah, we got our grounds here, and this neutral, and the neutrals are on each individual breaker. So that's the cool thing about this power panel, is that power and neutral go on these, and the power here is the one that is copper, and the neutral is the one that's silver. So we'll talk more about that when I start putting breakers on there, but for now we'll put these on there, and then I'll put caps on here once we get this all set up. So we'll get to work on that. All right, so we got it all anchored into the wall there, and now we're just getting the conduit section all squared away with getting the cap PVC'd in there, or glued in there, and then the ring nut to hold it in place. And we're finagling with these main lug wires, and they were kind of squished from the last unit that was in there, so I had to use my lineman pliers to go around them and round them back out, and then clean them off with the wire brush to get all of the last anti-corrosion gel out of there. And so we put a new coat on there, and man, this gauge wire is super hard to bend because it's pretty thick. So luckily we got the fitment pretty close, where I just had to bend it a little bit. Not the most professional straight in job, but good enough. And we had 2 knockouts there because I only had 2 wires coming in, but then I forgot about the ground wire that comes up there, so we had to punch out 1 more knockout and get that finagled in there. Weird thing about the sub panel here on the old school mobile home is that the ground wire is just bolted to the frame of the house. I think it should be into the ground, but when my buddy comes in this week, I'll ask him if I should put another ground bar. There's one up at the front, into the ground at the main panel, so we'll see if it's needed out here. And then the spec sheet comes with the torque mounts for the main lug bolts. I don't have the proper inch pound tool. I only have foot pounds, so my buddy comes up this week, he'll correct it to the proper torques. Yeah, so we're just going to do some more work on this, and we'll talk about that here. All right, we're getting closer. Got all the wires fed through, top and bottom here, just a couple on the bottom. Got a couple of them wired up completely, and then I ran out of juice on my battery for the camera, and I went and plugged it in the wall. Hey, shocker, it's not charging, duh. And then my battery powered light went out, so we're kind of in the dark here a little bit. It's not too bad in here. I think it's darker than what it looks like on this phone. But yeah, so here we are right now, and we'll get all these in the correct spots and test it out. But I'll get back to you when we get it all wired up and hopefully looking organized. But just mid-roll here for now. All right, so we got all the wires coming down on this side, all hooked up. All these ones are 120 volts. This one's coming out on the side, but that's not hooked up yet. Don't have any of these hooked up yet. The ones coming from the bottom are hooked up over here. So everything that I had previously hooked up in my death trap that was here is hooked up. None of these were hooked up, new wires. So I'm just going to get some things charged up because it's getting a little dark in here and I'm hungry. So we're going to eat something. But for now, we're going to throw a couple of these breakers on there and see if it works. So I think you hook it up in here and pop it down in there. I think that's in there. We'll find out. Got a whole box of these 20 amperes. But I see some hooks on here, so my assumption is. There we go. Boom, that one fits in a lot better than this one. That's not bad, actually. Anyway, one more. But you want to have these powered off when you go turn on your breaker or your service panel. So I'll go turn that on. I'll turn on this breaker, and then individually, one at a time. You don't want to have all that draw all at once if you can help it. So we'll go do that and see what happens. See if I got lights and no fires. Huh. I thought I was recording when I turned this on, but yeah, flip this breaker, and then one by one, I was hearing beeps and pops, and not pops, but beeps and whatnot for when things were powering on. So everything looks good. We'll go charge up some lights and batteries for the camcorder, and then I'll do some checking on voltage draws and whatnot, but I think we're all good. Cool. All right, it's been one night, and we're still here. No hissing, no popping, no breakers tripping, no fires, nothing like that, so that's good. And I still have to make a box around it, and then I can put the cover on it. But everything in there is pretty tight. I'm gonna, when I put a box around this, because that's how it originally was when the house was built. And like, you know, if this was built today, probably wouldn't be kosher to have it here because the door would be blocking it. But it's as built, so it passes as is. And when I build the box around, I'm gonna have a 1x4 there and there, so that I can sort these out, tack them into there, and then put the box on. And you know, it's pretty tight. It's not the most professional job, but I think for a homeowner, not so bad, fairly clean. I did one thing that I thought was weird was, obviously this is the ground bus and that's the ground bus, and you'd think that this is the ground bus over here because all your neutrals are going to be in here. But then I noticed it's connected here, and from the main service panel, I would have put a jumper here, so then these would have all been connected to the neutral. But since it's not, I think with the sub panel, you only have this side for the grounds. And I was originally hooking these two that came up over here, and I was like, yeah, that's not right. So then I had to put them over here, so they're not as clean as I'd hoped, because otherwise I would have had them go all the way down here, up here, and then in. But so we have this cross section, not a huge deal. Nobody's going to see it. So anyway, we'll get out the Tesman 300D meter that I was sent, and we'll test all these voltages and see if everything's good to go. So now that we got it here, all set up for now, we'll take this thing and we'll put it on the auto setting, and we'll check some voltage, or at least that's what we're thinking it's going to read to, and that's what it stops at, voltage, AC current. 248 at the main lugs, which is good. And then we'll switch over to one lug and a neutral, 123, maybe 124 basically, on each one, which is good. Put it on the ground and the neutral, we get nothing, which is good. And 124 under the ground as well. 124, and then I went through all these last night, and yeah, you just put them on the breakers here, and they're 124, and then you have ones that are supposed to be 240. This one's for my mini split, I believe. And 240. And there was one here, this one, I was checking it last night, and it freaked me out because it didn't read anything. It was saying like 0.8 or something like that. And it might be doing it again. We'll see. Or do I have it on? Yeah. See, it's not. Oh, there it is. 124. So I was freaking out, like, what's going on here? And I think I didn't get one of the plastic sheets off far enough, and then maybe the screw was sitting on it. So it was like blocking the reading, because everything worked. All the outlets worked, but it wasn't working here. So I'll go check those outlets as well. But anyway, this little reader's cool. So pretty much all I need it for is checking voltage And then if I really get down to it, you can check your amperage. Like when I have my mini split running, I can see what kind of amperage it's drawing. Let's see if it's going to pull anything. It's not on right now. I don't believe so. Let's see, something's on. This is on. We'll see, or we'll go with this one. See what kind of amperage we're drawing. 1.35, so nothing's probably coming off of that one. We'll see what's going on here. 0.35 amps. So I got nothing really drawing anything of significance. Only thing I probably other use it for is continuity, so you can, you know, get one end of a wire and then see if it's, you know, if there's a connection at the other end of the wire. Probably use that more for my car, my Land Rover, which is going to have a lot of electrical gremlins. But yeah, this meter's pretty cool. The only thing I've noticed is that my battery's almost dead, so maybe it just eats a lot of energy, so pick up some spare batteries for sure. But anyway, it's a pretty cool thing. I haven't learned how to use the clamp reading yet, but we'll get to it. So, I don't know. I've never really used one of these before, or never known, so I've watched some tutorials, and so I'm learning a lot, and it seems pretty cool. I like the digital readout. I like the auto feature, so it's like, you know, noobs like myself, it'll kind of find what it thinks you're looking for, and then you could manually set it too, so pretty cool. But anyway, link in the description, all that good stuff, so check it out.